It is 2:17 in the morning on the 15th of April, 1912, and the Atlantic Ocean is coming up the stairs. You are standing on the boat deck of the RMS Titanic. The air is -2 degrees. The deck beneath your feet is tilted at an angle that your body keeps trying to correct for, leaning against it, the way your body refuses to accept what your eyes already know. You are wearing a life belt over a wool coat over clothes you put on in the dark 40 minutes ago, when the list became impossible to sleep through. There are no more lifeboats. The last one left 7 minutes ago. You watched it go. You watched it go with empty spaces in it. You are not panicking. That is the thing no one tells you about the end of something. You are not panicking. You are just here, on a tilting deck, in the dark, doing the arithmetic of the time you have left and finding it very small. You are 32 years old. You are a carpenter from Leicester traveling second class to New York. Your ticket cost $61. You saved for 11 months. Your brother, already settled in Pennsylvania, wrote you a letter in September that said, "Come now, the work is here, the pay is real." You folded that letter into your coat pocket the morning you left. It is still there. You have been on this ship for 4 days. You know the corridors. You know the smell of the dining saloon at breakfast, warm bread and coal smoke, and that faint salt that comes through every ventilation shaft. You ate well on this ship, better than you had eaten in months. You thought about that at dinner on Sunday. You thought, this is what it feels like to be taken care of. You did not know then that 5 of its 16 watertight compartments had already been opened by the iceberg like a seam coming apart in a coat. The men who built this ship calculated it could float with 4 flooded, not 5. 1 compartment was the difference between this ship and every other ship. 1 compartment was the margin that did not hold. That is the kind of thing you find out on a tilting deck at 2 in the morning. Go back to 11:40 at night. 2 hours and 37 minutes ago. You felt it before you heard it. Not a crash. A shudder, a long, low grinding that came up through the hull and through the soles of your feet, lasting perhaps 10 seconds, then stopping. The ship kept moving. The engine slowed, then stopped. A steward walked through the corridor and said there was nothing to worry about. He said it with the practiced calm of a man repeating a sentence he had been given to repeat. What no one told you was that the iceberg had been seen by the lookouts with 90 seconds of warning. That the wireless operator on a nearby ship, the Californian, had shut off his radio 5 minutes before the collision because his shift was over. That the Titanic had been traveling at 20.5 knots through a field of ice that 3 separate ships had radioed warnings about over the past 12 hours. That the speed was not reduced. You were also not told that the ship carried 20 lifeboats for 2,224 people, that the lifeboats could hold 1,178, that no full lifeboat drill had been conducted. You were told, put on your life belt and proceed to the boat deck. So you did. You watched the officers load women and children first, which was right, which you did not argue with. You watched lifeboats leave with empty seats because passengers did not believe the ship was sinking, because the lifeboats looked small, hanging 60 feet above the black water, because no one had drilled this, because no one had made it feel real until it was. By the time it felt real, the boats were gone. 2 o'clock in the morning. The bow went under, not slowly, quickly. The way something that has been resisting finally stops resisting. The forward well deck filled in less than a minute. The water came over the forecastle with a sound you did not expect. Not a roar, but a long exhale, like the ship breathing out. You moved aft with everyone else. There was no instruction, no officer with a plan, only the tilt and the instinct to climb away from it. You moved with the crowd to the stern, and the crowd was large and quiet in a way that crowds are not usually quiet, and each person sealed inside their own understanding of what was happening. You looked for a door back inside. The entrance to the second-class stairwell was blocked by 3 feet of water. A crew hatch was locked from the inside. You did not find anything else. The band was playing. 8 men with instruments in the cold and the dark. You do not know the song. You will not remember the song. You will only remember that it was there, that human sound, in the middle of all of this, and that it made it worse and better at the same time in a way you cannot separate. Then the first funnel came down. You heard the cable snap before you saw it fall. The sound was like a rifle shot, then 4 more in quick succession, and the funnel hit the water and sent a wave across the deck that knocked people off their feet. The man next to you went down and got up again. You reached out and steadied him without thinking. He nodded at you. That was all. 2:17. Now, the stern is rising. This is the thing no diagram prepares you for. The stern is lifting out of the water as the bow goes down, and the angle is past 35 degrees. You are holding a railing with both hands, feet braced against a deck fitting, and the cold goes straight through your gloves and into the bones of your hands. The lights go out, not gradually, all at once. One moment, the ship is lit across every deck and porthole, and then it is dark. Completely dark. The kind of dark that only exists in the middle of an ocean at 2 a.m. with no moon and no land in any direction. Someone near you screams, then several people. Then a sound rises from the deck that is not screaming exactly. It is something older than screaming, something that a large number of people make when they understand simultaneously that there is nothing left to do. You let go of the railing. The water, when it reaches you, is -2 degrees. And cold water at this temperature causes the body to gasp involuntarily, causes the muscles to seize, causes the heart to enter shock within the first minute. You know none of that yet. You only know that when the water closes over you, it feels like every nerve has been lit at once. Like the cold is not a temperature, but a frequency that passes straight through skin and muscle and arrives at the center of you. You surface. The ship is above you, enormous and dark against the stars, the stern swinging in a slow arc as the bow pulls it down. You swim away from it. This is the only instruction anyone gave you that was true. Swim away from the ship, or the suction takes you down with it. You swim away from the ship. Here is what the numbers look like from the outside. The Titanic sank at 2:20 a.m. Of the 2,224 people aboard, the 1,517 died. The survival rate for first-class male passengers was 34%. For second-class male passengers, it was 8%. The lifeboats left carrying an average of 60% of their capacity. They returned to pull survivors from the water only once. The Carpathia arrived at 3:40 a.m., 1 hour and 20 minutes after the Titanic went under. In the water, there were over 1,000 people. The Carpathia recovered 710 survivors. You are not among them. You are the 8%. The carpenter from Leicester with a letter still in his coat pocket. The man who saved for 11 months and ate well on Sunday and thought about what it felt like to be taken care of. The Senate inquiry that followed recommended enough lifeboats for every person aboard. It recommended lifeboat drills. It recommended a 24-hour wireless watch. Then these recommendations existed as common sense before this night. No one required them until 1,517 people made them impossible to ignore. Here is what no documentary will tell you. The Titanic did not sink because of an iceberg. The iceberg was the last event in a chain that began in a boardroom, with a speed decision, a lifeboat calculation, and a regulatory standard no one had updated in 18 years. The officers followed protocol. The crew followed orders. Siom, the Board of Trade, stamped the paperwork. Every person in that chain did their job. The job was designed without a margin for error on a ship that had been told it had no need of one. And in the water, in the dark, at -2 degrees, the people who paid the least for their tickets floated in the largest numbers. A carpenter from Leicester with a brother in Pennsylvania. A family from Syria locked below deck by a gate that required a crew member's key. Then an Irish girl from County Mayo who made it to the boat deck and was turned back because the officer did not understand her. They are not in the inquiry transcript. They are in the water. They are still there.